CNBC TV 18, celebrating 15 years of leadership.
It's been a year of extreme highs and terrible lows.
Some names disappeared in the dust, but some rose to greater heights.
Hello and welcome. I'm Archana Shukla.
And I'm Kritika Saxena.
And this is the show where our team at CNBC TV 18 brings to you journeys of some of the names that stood out in 2014.
Some with newer paths conquered, but some that hit unforeseen roadblocks. First up is the story of one such roadblock. And who would have imagined this one, Archana?
Kritika, it's very difficult to build but easy to destroy. Jignesh Shah saw his meteoric rise gradually over the last 2 decades, but it took just 1 year for his entire empire to crumble. He was definitely one of the newsmakers in 2014, although for all the wrong reasons. Prerna Barua tells us the story of this man a year after the 5,600 crore rupee NSCL scam was uncovered.
Everything is done in a full compliance and in full framework of law.
That's what he believed, but little did Jignesh Shah know that he would become a victim of his own breakneck ambition. 2 decades ago, when this young stockbroker began his journey, no one could possibly imagine that the nightmare 2014 would unfold for the man. The year started with Jignesh Shah spending hours and days at the Mumbai police headquarters. After the initial probe, the EOW sought to ascertain if Shah was hand in gloves with FTL's key management personnel in masterminding a 5,600 crore rupees scam at India's first commodity spot exchange. It did not take long to discover Shah's involvement. He refused to cooperate with the police, which led to his eventual downfall. Shah was arrested on the 7th of May and grilled on his involvement in the scam. Based on email evidences found by the officials linking Shah to NSCL's former MD and CEO Anjani Sinha and former CEO of MCX Shrikant Javalgekar.
Concerned persons are not cooperating in the investigation, and the custodial interrogation is important.
Through the investigation, Jignesh Shah's repeated attempts to allay the 13,000 victims of the scam fell to deaf ears. Investors cried foul and demanded the refund of their hard-earned money.
Call it the end of the game or the beginning of his game plan. Jignesh Shah spent over 3 months behind bars. Meanwhile, the Securities Appellate Tribunal rejected FTI's petition against SEBI's order that declared FTI and its promoter unfit to run a bourse. Thereafter, the Bombay High Court too rejected FTI's petition seeking stay against FMC's not fit and proper order that the commodities regulator issued in December last year.
With no choice but to comply with the regulator's order, Jignesh Shah sold his stake in 4 exchanges: MCX, IEX, Singapore Mercantile Exchange and Bourse Africa. While the stake sale in MCX SX, Dubai Gold and Commodity Exchange and Bahrain Financial Exchange is still underway, the forced divestment has reportedly resulted in a loss of over 1,000 crore rupees. On 20th of November, Jignesh Shah stepped down as MD and CEO of FTIL, leaving behind the empire that he built from scratch 2.5 decades ago. Shah has now entrusted his fortunes to a completely overhauled board of directors. The fortunes that once earned him a spot in Forbes billionaire list in 2008 and 2009.
Jignesh Shah lost the plot as well as his empire. With several allegations and criminal charges leveled against Jignesh Shah, he continues to remain adamant that he was unaware of the scam that shook his empire. With numerous court cases to battle and tough days ahead, Jignesh Shah's every move would be closely watched in 2015.
Our next newsmaker is the only Indian banker who features on the Forbes billionaires list.
No points for guessing who. Uday Kotak. He is the entrepreneur that built a 1.3 lakh crore rupee empire over the last 3 decades. But 2014 stood out with Kotak acquiring ING Vaishnav Bank, possibly one of the largest deals in the sector. But that's not all. He also made a splash in the commodity exchange business. Farah Bukwara Bora has more.
truly excited about our lives together.
Truly a new era begins, and everyone at ING Vaishya is really excited.
It was a dream he cherished for 22 long years. Uday Kotak has finally charted out a course of setting up a global bank. From aspirations of acquiring the Bank of Madurai in 1992, when he was still the owner of a small non-banking finance company, to the 10,500 crore rupee all-stock acquisition of ING Vaishya Bank, Kotak's patience finally paid off. The combined assets of Kotak Mahindra Bank and ING Vaishya stand at 1.6 lakh crore rupees, with total deposits over 1.12 lakh crore rupees and advances over 1 lakh crore rupees. This, along with a network of 1,200 branches, makes it the fourth largest private sector bank in the country.
What makes this deal a success is the potential synergies between the two banks. Kotak, which has 80% of its branches concentrated in northern India, will now be able to spread its wings across South India. This deal also gives Kotak a strong foothold in the SME segment, which is ING's strength.
The deal will bring down Uday Kotak's shareholding in the bank to 34% from the existing 40%, and ING Vaishya will become the largest non-promoter shareholder. However, Kotak will have to further reduce his holding in the combined entity to 15% by 2019 to comply with RBI norms. This was the only merger of two profitable banks since 2008. But even then, questions have been raised if ING Vaishya was in any way a distressed asset, considering the cheap valuations. At just 2.2 times the book value of ING Vaishya, Kotak paid just half of what HDFC Bank paid for acquiring Centurion Bank of Punjab. But Kotak denies this.
Let me assure you that there is no question of any distress with anybody. This is a deal on the merits of it. I genuinely believe, and so does the board of ING Vaishya Bank, which is an independent board, believes that this is a fair ratio in the interest of all the stakeholders of both entities and the combined entity.
Challenges are aplenty as Uday Kotak begins the integration of the two banks. Near-term profitability will be hit due to upfront cost of the merger. Impact of higher provisions on Vaishya's books and higher cost of saving deposits are other challenges that Kotak will have to deal with. To top it, cultural difference may impact the productivity in the near term. But banking was not the only thing on Uday Kotak's mind. In September this year, Uday Kotak picked up a 15% stake in multi-commodity exchange for 459 crore rupees after Jignesh Shah-owned Financial Technologies exited the exchange, thereby stepping up his exposure in the commodity exchange business.
Kotak has already received a conditional nod from the Competition Commission of India for his MCX stake buy. Since he already has a 40% stake in another exchange called Ace Derivatives and Commodity Exchange, he will have to bring down that stake to 15% by 2019 to comply with FMC rules. With all that foundation in place, Uday Kotak is rolling up his sleeves and is getting ready to get his mega banking empire off the ground. In Mumbai, Farah Bukwala, Vora.
Now from banking to IT, a sector that kept me busy all year long.
2014 marked the final exit of founder-promoters of Infosys and entry of the new man for the job. Vishal Sikka is our next newsmaker who's charting the turnaround plan for Infosys.
I continue to cheer you all from the outside. Once an Infosys, always an Infosys. Thank you.
It was the end of an era. And beginning of another. And he was the one to usher it in. Vishal Sikka, who took charge for the top job at India's leading IT bellwether Infosys from founders and stalwarts of the IT industry.
I only feel a tremendous sense of excitement and privilege to help take this iconic company that shaped this industry for India.
It was after serving 12 years at global software product giant SAP that Vishal Sikka took over the reins of Infosys on 12th June 2014.
But it was a time when Infosys was struggling. Subpar earnings, high attrition, a dwindling market share with competitors like Cognizant surpassing Infosys in the pecking order, and visa issues in the US, Sika had a lot to struggle with. Add to that, Sika's entry was preceded by exits of top brass like V. Balakrishnan, Ashok Vemuri and B.G. Srinivas, who were earlier frontrunners for the top job. But the executive search committee responsible for the selection of the heir were confident.
I am so honored, I am so pleased that Vishal has agreed to join Infosys as the CEO.
Sika, though, was prepared to delve straight into troubleshooting. Right after taking charge, he began employee town hall meetings and roundtable sessions with clients to pinpoint the issues and tackle them. The first step was clearly to reboot confidence.
There have been things that have been happening here in the recent past and around attrition and around what you could call an issue with confidence. And so one of the key things that I see is the opportunity to restore the confidence, to inspire the teams, and I think then everything else follows from there.
Step 2 was to reassure clients.
In his meetings with clients, Sika found that Infi's inability to adopt to change and lack of innovation was weighing heavy on the minds of clients. He then began a journey that he termed as Renew and New. By Renew, he meant restructuring and changing older verticals and aligning them to newer technologies like automation. And by New, he meant entering newer technologies like digital, mobility, SMAC, and entering and developing newer products and IPs, and even enhancing and expanding high-margin businesses like consulting. However, to arrest the bigger problem of attrition, Infosys began hunting for fresh talent, and Sika infused some fresh air by inviting current employees to be able to give suggestions on how to take Infosys to the next level. He also in fact roped in around 10 of his old SAP colleagues, which according to our sources wasn't really met with a lot of enthusiasm from existing employees.
In his first 6 months, Sika has kicked off the drive to renew Infosys. But a defined strategy for the company will only be prepared by April 2015. And although his critics question lack of a roadmap for financial turnaround, his supporters say, be patient. Sika may just recreate the magic that took SAP to its pinnacle with the $1.1 billion SAP HANA product.
With that, it's time for a short break.
Go grab a cup of coffee and we will too.
Newsmakers from politics and more on the other side.
CNBC TV 18, celebrating 15 years of leadership.